track none of us would ever volunteer for. You just couldn't get us in that stand because you're either going to have half the people that really, really like you or the other half the people that really, really don't like you. And,
you should have heard before you got here what we were saying.
Right? I kind of find it ironic.
No.
Behind me.
we all highly respect what you do, Jeremy. It's a tough job, man, and you do the best you can, and that's all you can do.
Well, you're in a position where you got to make a call and you got to make it right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to do.
And I'll say I got the honor of being, and in my opinion, I got the honor of being the last person to get trained by the best flagman of all time. In my opinion, I got to be trained by Bill Arnold, the last person to be trained by Bill Arnold.
Another nice thing about Jeremy is he's real quick on the receivers.
Yeah.
You can hear him real clear. He's real good on saying where the yellows are, and he's always, all right, guys, this is the A main. You guys have a good race, stay clean, blah blah blah, and he gets you pumped up while you're doing your pace laps and stuff.
And that's one.
Appreciate that.
That's one thing too. I've been watching. I had the opportunity to watch Kokopa this last weekend, and they have the receivers tuned into IMCA TV, and you can hear what they're saying. It's like, okay, and I'm sitting there watching this. I'm like, okay, this guy is good on the receiver. I tuned out the announcers because, well, they sucked. But
don't even look at me right now.
But I'm listening to the receiver, and the guy is literally, as soon as somebody turns, even before the yellow's out, he's, guy around in 3, turn yellow, 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 go high in 3, high in 3. Checkers are out, yellow's out. I'm just like, this is what the drivers are hearing in their ears. I've never been able to have a receiver in my ear, but it's like, okay, this is something. I don't know how we raced without it. I really don't.
Well, the receiver has definitely made the game a lot safer.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, and we will, Moxie will have one of those in the Moxie Tower this year, and we'll know what's going on, not just with the safety crew, but with the track, and we're going to take it up to the next level. We're going to have some fun stuff this year. Yeah. The car show is coming. Jeremy, you're going to be here, right?
I'll be here.
Chris is going to be here with the 24 car?
I'll be in Florida.
He's going to be in Florida.
What Florida?
He's qualifying for Daytona.
Okay. Whoa, hang on. Did I just hear excitement in Corey's voice about
Daytona?
NASCAR?
Yeah.
There was no excitement.
Now he's going backwards.
I just said he's qualifying for Daytona. Daytona's in February. Car show's in
Chris,
March.
we could still bring your car down here.
Yeah. Chris, do we have a commitment? He's going to be in the sandy beaches. Can I go?
So the car must be ready.
Mine's not yet.
No.
I'm working on April's. Been working on April's last couple months. I barely even touched my car. But April's going to have a brand new car.
What is she going to run?
Same car.
Camaro?
No, Monte.
Oh, the Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
That's right. You're in the Camaro.
Which it's a Buick now. It's the same thing.
It's all the same thing.
Yeah. Looks like Kevin Williamson's car.
We're starting to see a lot of those cars show up at the track now.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of going away from the Camaros and getting to the...
Well, you can make the metric cars turn so much better.
Yeah.
And the Camaro, I'm not knocking the Camaros. Some people's driving style suits the Camaro.
Chris does well in a Camaro.
Chris does very well in a Camaro. Some people's driving style suits the metric cars better. Mm-hmm. Kevin Williamson.
Kyle Yack.
Yeah. All those guys.
Kyle Yack won a championship in one of those.
What's crazy? I saw a Camaro today on one of the race car parts or whatever sites online. $150. This thing had slicks on it, had a roll cage in it. It was just minus motor and tranny. Everything else was there for $150.
They're on Facebook
why didn't
all the time.
You buy it?
I know. I thought about it.
You get Roger that barbecue to put the money up. You buy it and you go out and win the Street Stock Championship. Iron Giant Series.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Like a good car.
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking about, the silver one.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But it's funny because ours, what we call street stocks here. What we call street stocks here is that's, you get it. Okay, this is our rules. This is what we play by, and this is what I understand. The first time I went to the Budweiser Nationals, and their street stocks rolled out. I'm watching these cars roll out, and I'm thinking, okay, what
class is this?
What class is this? I'm thinking they're going to say hogs or bombers or something, we got a field full of 77 Monte Carlos. These things are longer than any late model I've ever seen, and they sound like a late model. These things are wide open. They're on skinny DOT tires, and they're just hammered down. They're sideways to their corners. I'm going, what in the heck is going on?
They put on a good show down there.
They do.
Yeah.
But it's a different set of rules, what they call street stocks. Rick, you saw them when you were down there a couple years ago, and you started getting all pumped up, and Like, man, those things are faster than our late models. It almost sounds like it, though. I mean, those things, they're running 420 cubic inch engines in these things, and they're pretty BA, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then you come home and you see our street stocks, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad I'm watching. I know what I'm looking at. You know, they're so different down there. But this Iron Giant deal, from big tracks, little tracks, asphalt, dirt, it's gonna be pretty cool.
It's gonna be a blast.
Yeah,
I was talking to Brody Pompey, and he went back to Eldora and raced with his. He brought his X Factor over there, and this is like one of the first times he's on the track, and he's doing 120 miles an hour on that track,
if not more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and he goes and sets it up in the corner, and he's coming around the corner. And next thing you know, a street stock comes underneath him and just blows his doors off going down the street.
yeah.
I was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, that's got to be a weird feeling. But I mean, I remember the first time we went to Eldora in '96 with the late model, and I've never seen anything like that. I mean, it was even as sitting in the pit area watching the cars on the track, it's almost scary. See, back then the track, Earl still owned it. It was 28 degrees banking. It's 25 now, but these guys are going to the corners 4 and 5 wide, and the last thing they're thinking about is touching the brakes. They don't do it. The track's so wide and so banked. And they're going in the corners, they had to be doing 135, 140 miles an hour and just pedal on the floor, and no one's lifting.
Just think about what one of the famous drivers said. It's all right foot.
Yeah, well, it's all right foot.
That's
yeah.
right.
Now they got a new rule for that guy, too. You guys hear about this?
Yeah.
Did you hear about the Bloomquist rule?
I saw it, but I didn't read it.
Yeah.
Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series has a new rule, and they call it the Bloomquist rule.
Yeah.
A couple, 3-4 days ago, he showed up at whatever track it was late. He missed tech, missed a driver's meeting, missed qualifying, started scratching the back of the V, ran about 5-6 laps, didn't like what the car was doing, pulled in, him and the crew went to work on it, and he pulled out in the back of the A on a provisional on the A main. And they're like, wait a second, what's going on? Everybody got mad about it, and I started protesting.
Didn't he finish fairly well in the A?
No, I don't think he was very good in the A that night.
Well, that's
So
all
I
you
think they
save on
struggled.
race fuel, though.
Yeah.
You only do 30 laps a night.
But yeah, the Lucas Oil officials got together and says, nope, if you don't make tech and don't make the driver's meeting, you're not starting in the back of the A.
I thought that was a rule already.
Well, you'd think it would be.
You would think, yeah.
You'd think it would, but
That's standard operating procedure.
well, it is
most
now.
places. Yeah.
It is now
Yeah.
for that series. But I thought it was kind of smart, what they did. They knew what they were doing. That guy, people. I mean, Bloomquist is to dirt what Earnhardt was to your NASCAR. What?
Come on over here, Rick.
Come on, Rick.
Rick,
Give Rick a
Come on
mic.
over here.
I mean, we have guys, Jamie Van and stuff like that.
Here, talk in the mic.
Jamie Van and stuff, and I've showed up late a few times and stuff, and you can scratch and show up in the back of the A main. It's I mean, it's just kind of something that it's known, But I mean, you got guys that work, that can't get off in time. Mm-hmm. There's no way to make the driver's meeting or qualifying and everything else, and me working on a car all night long or something like that, and I'd show up, just in time. And I've showed up before, almost right before the main event, and ran the main event. You just start in the back. As long as there's not a B. I mean, obviously, if there's a B, then you got to start in the back of the B.
Right.
And if you miss that, you're done. So,
But
yeah.
that being said, Rick, and I know what you're saying. I've seen it happen a million times at Willamette. We're talking about that's kind of like showing up at cup race after qualifying and just starting in the back of the field because you're a former champion or whatever. It's going to make some people mad, and these guys did. What do you guys think about the rule?
For the level of racing and the series, it makes sense.
That's what I'm saying. From Willamette to the series,
Exactly.
it's a different world, and I get where those guys they're racing for championship points and big time money.
For our weekly shows, it doesn't make sense. Like Rick said, you've got these are hometown guys. They work for a living. They aren't professional racers. They've got jobs. They've got families. Life
Businesses,
happens.
yeah.
Businesses.
Look
You
just
show
this
up.
year, the break all and
Break
street
all.
stocks,
Right,
literally
yep.
driving the car down.
He drove the
down
car to
highway,
the track.
and
JJ's done that too.
Casey Vitale was telling me that and he showed me online that you can drive your race car, to and from the track if you live within a certain.
I think it's 15 miles.
No, I think it's 30.
It's 30 miles.
15 or 30
I've
miles.
looked at the
Yeah,
law
and
before.
it's 100% legal to do that.
Roger says I might need to move.
Well, back when
too
my
far
dad
away.
raced, I lived by Century Park in Lebanon, and I remember my dad. He would, he'd always look around, and Saturday roll around, and he'd go out there and he'd fire the sucker up and haul ass to the track, thinking we got away with something, but evidently it was legal.
Well, like you said, we've seen JJ do it.
It happens. But when you start talking series and the caliber at Lucas's, and this might be even something Chris needs to address with the Street Stocks series with the Road to the Iron Giant. There is that. I
mean, I think I don't care where you're at. I mean, on a series, when you're talking about a series, you can't just show up, not go through tech, and make a main.
I'm not a fan of provisionals to begin with, especially in the series things. I think if you don't race your way into the A main, you shouldn't be in an A main. I've never been a fan of provisionals.
I'm not a fan of no tech.
Well, and I'm with you right there. I'm with you, Warren, 100%. I think if you're going to race on a series for a championship, there better be a tech crew
to make
sure everybody. You have to.
Yeah.
What we do is we tech right after qualifying.
Right.
We do a pre-tech. We check all the cars. We don't weigh the cars. That's up to them. They got to weigh. They go across the scales after qualifying, and if they're too light, they get DQ'd for qualifying. That means they got to start the hard road. They got to start in the back of the pack.
Whether that's a C or a D main, it doesn't matter.
They get a race still, but then they're going to be checked again if they're going to make the top 5 or top 10. You better weigh.
Right.
Yeah. You better give yourself a few pounds, too, because scales from track to track may vary a little bit.
Roger, jump in.
You have fans, when you say Bloomquist, that are driving to and far to watch this guy race.
Absolutely.
How many people are you going to make upset that he don't make that race?
Right.
Now,
I get
he
that.
might understand, hey, you might give him the cut one time. I bet he doesn't do it again.
Oh, well, he can't. There's a rule against that now. So,
it's called the Bloomquist rule.
He'll be there for tech now.
But for a fan's point of view, on that level.
Well, and that's, again, for that series, you're talking about the biggest name in dirt.
Bottom line is you have to have black and white rules.
I agree.
And just follow the rules. It's that simple. If work doesn't allow you to do it, you probably don't belong in the series.
Right.
Rick?
He's one of those guys, though, that actually to start the year, his cars are never done. He's always working on everybody else's stuff. And he shows up late to every event.
Who are we talking about?
Bloomquist.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just his way because he's working on everybody else's stuff. He does what he can, and he'll roll it. He misses practice every time to start the year. And then he rolls in late, and he'll start in the back, and he'll do whatever he can. He does his testing to start the year and everything else on a lot of these shows, and people do come in the show to watch him.
You bet they do.
But that's his way of testing on his car and rolling with it and everything else. And if he didn't do that, he couldn't help all these other people out that he sells cars to.
Yeah.
So for the fans to watch him and him to show up to these things, they sell tickets off his name. They don't just say, "Hey, we're having a show tonight." No, they say Bloomquist is showing up this weekend.
Right.
He's already approved. He's here. He's coming. Be here to watch him.
Well, and he is so much. Again, we'll go back to the NASCAR ranks like Earnhardt.
Yeah,
I mean, whether you loved Earnhardt or you hated him, you were still watching him. I mean, and that's kind of where Bloomquist is on that level, where he's one of those drivers that is either totally loved by his fans or despised by the other half.
Yeah, it's right down the middle.
It is. There's
really
no, he's all right. It's either good guy or bad guy type thing with him, much like Earnhardt, and they use his name to sell those tickets.
Right.
Yeah, everybody wants to watch him.
Absolutely.
And he still suffered the same penalty if he didn't make to the driver's meeting as any other driver would. Everybody plays by the same rules,
which I am all for.
Me too.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I think they have to be enforced. You can't. You can't play favorites because tracks are always getting accused of playing favorites in the first place.
Right.
And
what does that do? It separates drivers. It separates teams. It takes fans out of the stands.
Yep.
It'll ruin a racetrack.
Yeah.
Or a series.
So bottom line is rules have to be in place and enforced.
100%. I agree with you. 100%.
Along with tech.
Exactly. You've got to be. Everybody's got to be singing by the same sheet of music.
Yep.
I mean, especially when you start talking about the amount. We start talking tech, especially with the amount of money that's on the line with the Lucas Oil Series. Remember, it was last year, the year before.
Eldora, the tires.
Well, not just that, but one race, Bloomquist weighed in 25 pounds light.
Right.
25 pounds
and you
light.
get a shot. So you come up on the scale. He was light. They let him back it off. I think they shook the car or whatever they had to do.
Yep.
Rolled back up on the scale, and he was still 25 pounds light. Cost him $50,000.
Well, that's the big series. That's a rule that's in
the way it
black
is.
and white.
It's the same thing at Willamette. You weigh light, you're done.
Well,
yeah, because we weigh at the end of the race.
Yeah, you DQ.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same way at
In
Grove,
our
too.
rules, our Iron Giant rules, you're 1 pound light at the end of the night. There's no gray area.
And I think that's
Good,
the way it
good.
should be.
No
Exactly.
gray area. 1 pound.
You know the
gotta
minimum
weigh
weight. What's the minimum weight for the iron giant?
3,300.
3,300 pounds.
SRAM's has got it to where if you run a crate motor, I think it's 200 pounds lighter.
Okay.
So there's
So at those
Different
3 races, it'll be the minimum weight will be that.
yeah.